The devastating story of John Edward Jones, who was trapped for more than 28 hours inside Nutty Putty cave before dying there in 2009. John Edward Jones loved spelunking with his family. His father frequently took him and his brother Josh on caving expeditions in Utah when they were kids. John Edward Jones entered Nutty Putty cave for the first time on the evening of November 24th, 2009. Unfortunately, John's first expedition into Nutty Putty cave was also his last. John, only 26 at the time, as well as his brother Josh, aged 23, decided to explore Nutty Putty cave along with other friends and family members as a way to connect with each other ahead of the holiday. At age 26, John was in the prime of his life. He had a 1-year-old daughter, was attending medical school in Virginia, and had a pregnant wife named Emily. It had been years since John was in any cave, and at 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, he wasn't the little kid he used to be. About an hour into the caving expedition, John decided to find the Nutty Putty cave formation known as the birth canal, which is a tight passage that spelunkers must crawl through carefully if they dare. He found what he thought to be the birth canal and inched his way into the narrow passage head first, moving forward using his hips, stomach and fingers, but within minutes he realised he'd made a grave mistake. John knew he was now just about stuck and had no room to turn around. He didn't even have room to wriggle back out the way he came, so he had to try press forward further into the dark crevice. He tried to exhale the air in his chest so that he could fit through a dry space that was barely 10 inches across and 18 inches high, but when John inhaled again and his chest puffed back out, he got stuck for good. John's brother was the first to find him. Josh tried to pull at his brother's calves to no avail, but then John slid down into the passage even further, becoming trapped worse than before. His arms were now pinned beneath his chest and he couldn't move at all. Both John and Josh were devout Mormons, and all they could do at this point was pray. "Guide us as we work through this," Josh prayed. "Save me for my wife and kids," John said. Eventually Josh scrambled towards the exit of the cave to get help, but even once help came, John was still trapped 400 feet into the cave and 100 feet below the Earth's surface. Getting people, equipment and supplies down that far took an hour. The first rescuer to reach John was a woman named Susie Matola. At that point, John had been trapped for 3.5 hours. Susie introduced herself to John, even though all she could see of him was a pair of navy and black running shoes. "Hi Susie, thanks for coming, but I really want to get out," John said. Over the next 24 hours, more than 100 rescue personnel worked tirelessly to free John. The best plan they had was to use a system of pulleys and ropes to try and free John. Most of the passages in Nutty Putty cave were dangerously narrow. Getting equipment as well as people through the tight passages was extremely difficult. John wasn't the first person to get stuck in the cave system, as 2 Boy Scouts got themselves stuck in the exact same spot as John a few years earlier. The cave was closed off from the public and was only reopened in 2009. It was only open for 6 months before John found himself trapped inside. John was running out of time. The downward angle at which John was trapped was putting great stress on his body because such a position requires the heart to work incredibly hard to continuously pump blood out of the brain. When the body is right side up, gravity does the work and the heart doesn't have to shoulder that load, so time was of the essence when freeing John. Rescuers tied John with a rope connected to a series of pulleys. Everything was ready and they pulled as hard as they could, but suddenly and without warning, one of the pulleys failed. It's believed that the pulley came loose at its anchor point in the cave wall, which contained a substantial amount of loose clay. Some other sources also report that John was laughing with relief as he was being pulled from the narrow passage, and because of this, when he fell, it put him in a much tighter spot than before. Regardless of what happened, all hope was now lost. The rope and pulley operation was no more. The rescuers had no other viable plans and John was trapped. With no hope of rescue, and his heart having suffered hours upon hours of strain due to his downward position, John was pronounced dead of cardiac arrest shortly before midnight on the evening of November 25th, 2009. Rescuers had spent 27 hours trying to save John. His family thanked the rescuers for their help despite the horrible news. The rescue mission became a body recovery operation, but it became apparent that it'd simply be too dangerous to get John out of the passage. Nutty Putty Cave became John's tomb. the cave was sealed off to the public and his body would remain trapped forever. He at least had the chance to say goodbye to his wife. Rescue operators were deeply affected by the failed rescue attempt and many had to attend therapy. A rescue operator named Rowdy replays the rescue over and over in his head, even years after the incident. He said to a news outlet, "I reviewed the whole mission, wishing we'd have done this tiny detail differently, or done that a little sooner. But it's no use second guessing things, we did our best." A movie was later made about the rescue operation called The Last Descent, and a memorial plaque to John Jones was also placed near the cave so the memory of him will live on indefinitely.